everyone. So right now here we are all here to talk about export compliance requirements that you need to fulfill in order to successfully sell your products globally. Uh, Essentially, Amazon Global Selling Program enables you to sell to 18 different marketplaces worldwide. One of such marketplaces USA, and we'll just take example of this one, and then we can talk about the rest as well. When you're starting your exports journey, there are a lot of compliance specific requirements that an origin country as well as destination country perspective you need to fulfill. When I say origin and destination, say for example, you Indian seller, your origin country will be India, and if you decide to say start selling in .com, which is Amazon US, or if you say want to start selling to UAE or Dubai, so that is AE marketplace. So that will become your destination marketplace. So when you're thinking about starting your journey from origin to destination country, there are a lot of requirements that the government entities from this both origin and destination country need you to do, so that you are able to successfully send your product, clear your product, as well as be compliant with the local regulations and successfully be able to sell globally. Now, what these requirements are? Broadly, if you see across each stage of your compliance journey, there are different types of compliance requirements you need to fulfill. Broadly talking about starting from say registration, product specific, shipping, payment, tax, incentives. At each stage where you're sending your product, you need to fulfill certain basic requirements. Now, starting with basics, what is the first requirement that even before you're starting your exports journey, what you need to fulfill? This is something called as an export registration module. What you have in front of you, what I'm displaying, is a tool by Amazon which sort of provides end-to-end compliance guidance and support for your requirements. This is a dashboard called Export Navigator. We will be sharing these resources after this call in the chat with you. Starting with the very first step that you need to do as an exporter is get your registration one-time documents. Now, what are these? So essentially these are 4 documents that you need to prepare before you can even export from India. The very first one is something called as IEC, which is Import Export Code. So import export code is mandatory license जो India government will mandate for ensuring that you are eligible to export. This is a one-time document that you need to obtain. Now, how do you obtain it? Who issues this certificate? There is a government entity called DGFT or Directorate General of Foreign Trade. It's a central foreign trade entity जो ये license provide करता है. And for this entity or for this license, you need to obtain it even before you start exporting. Now, how do you get this license? So if in this module you look at it, you have 2 options. Either you can follow step-by-step process yourself. So go to self-registration steps and visit the 6 steps mentioned here. So essentially what you need to first do is visit the DGFT website. If you look at the DGFT website, I'll just quickly click on the link and show it to you. So it will take us to the DGFT website. This is a central government website where you can click on register or apply for IEC. I'm not clicking it in detail here. You can click and verify because it will ask you for login. Once you click on apply to IEC, you have to enter your basic details like name, PAN card, so on and so forth. You'll get OTP verification. You need to pay the fees and you will get your IEC license. Before you even go to DGFT website, this site or Export Navigator will also tell you that, hey, you need to get your PAN card handy. You need to keep your Aadhaar card handy, GST registration, as well as cancel check. So with these 4 documents, you can start following all the self-registration steps and get it online. This is the very first license that any exporter needs to get. The second step, which is AD code. AD code is an authorized dealer code, which is a 14-digit unique code, which is given to you by your banking partners. Essentially, this code enables all the customs, all the authorities for shipping clearance to be able to recognize your bank account or link your bank account for any custom duties, payments, tariffs needed at customs port. This code, like I mentioned, is issued by your current bank account or the bank where you have your account in. And essentially, the process of getting this AD code is two. One, first you need to go to your bank and ask for a AD code letter. The bank will issue you that letter. So once you get that letter, the process is not done. You also need to register the AD code at custom port. You can either do it directly at custom port or register on IceGate, as mentioned here. So essentially, with these details or these documents, you can then click on IceGate link here and enter your AD code or register your AD code. The third step in export registration step is GST LUT. Now this is optional. It's a recommended license that you need to prepare. What it means is there are two options you have. So export is from India is zero rated. So essentially you don't need to pay any duties or GST for your or taxes for exporting your product. Now there are two options. Either you pay GST and apply for refund, or you can get something called as LUT, which is a letter of undertaking. With this, you no longer have to pay GST itself. So you can do away with the entire refund process. Essentially, a LUT is valid for the financial year, and here again you can follow the self-registration steps. So essentially, you can go to the GST portal. The link is dropped here, and get your GST LUT application done. Last requirement, which is something called as an IOR or importer on record. This is again an optional requirement. It's mandatory only basis your shipment value and profile. So for all shipments like more than 2,500 US dollars, you need to get an IOR, which is importer on record. What this means is essentially when you're sending your products to an Amazon warehouse, the US entity or US customs will ask or seek who is importer and who will clear the who is responsible entity there. So to clear the import clearance services. So generally, either the service provider or compliance service provider are authorized to be IORs on your behalf, and these IORs or IOR license is mandatory for all the shipments above this value, so above $2,500. So across each stage, now I know it sounds overwhelming, but once you start the process, in each process it takes about, IC for example takes about 15 minutes to get it. But for each process, if you're stuck anywhere across any stage, you can always click on request assistance, click on confirm assistance at top, and then you will be able to reach out to the third party service providers. One such partner is Parshottam and Associates, who are here, who will be able to assist in getting these licenses on your behalf. So generally for each stage, if you're stuck, if you need any help, this portal also helps you reach out to third-party service providers who will assist you in getting these licenses. So these export registration will give you one-time requirements. So the first-time compliance specific requirements that you need to obtain or register on will be provided here. The second step important for the second step which is important for any seller here is just to get the product documentations for your product category. Now certain product category need additional license to be compliant with origin and destination specific requirements. For example, you can search your products. Say, for example, I search for apparel. I am going to send a t-shirt, men's and adult t-shirt from India to US. Then what are the requirements I need, additional requirements I need from product specific items? So once I search for adults, I see these document which guides me, okay, from mandatory perspective, I need to change my label. So I need to ensure that my label contains fiber content, country of origin, so on and so forth details. Now, if I'm stuck with what are these FTC, AST guidelines, we have additional FAQs which will provide all the details to you and links for reference. So this document or product documentation module will tell you for your product what are additional specific documents that you need to prepare in order to successfully clear customs or comply with local and destination regulation requirement. You can easily search for any other category that you are looking for, as simple as, say, for example, tea in beverages. So for tea, what are the requirements needed? Again, it will tell me, okay, these are the XYZ requirements and licenses that you need to prepare for exporting tea from India. So whatever is your product category, you can come here on this module on product documentation and research. Now, again, here, if you're stuck, you can always click on request assistance, and the service providers will be able to assist you in getting these licenses. Moving on to the next module. So once, say, for example, you have gotten your export registration documents, these 4 licenses, as well as your product specific documents, you are now ready to ship your products. So essentially, after you've booked your shipment or created your listing on Amazon workflows and are now ready to ship your products, essentially shipping is a key process that is needed to successfully clear all customs processes, so on and so forth. So this module tells you about how the custom clearance process works, what channels exist today, and just give you an overall view of how this shipment movement happens. So essentially, once you've chosen, okay, this is the listing or this is the inventory I want to ship, basis the size of your product, basis the value of your product, basis the volume that you want to ship, you can decide which is the mode that you want to ship in, whether it is a courier mode or a cargo mode. Basis the mode, then the first step is just to prepare the documents. Now, what those documents are is something that you can check here. So you can click on view shipping requirements. So basis your channel, there are certain shipping level documents that you need to prepare. So for example, commercial invoice, which sort of provides details on what shipment or what items are available in that shipment, is a necessary document for both courier and cargo. Whereas, say, export value declaration is a shipping document that is needed for cargo mode only. So for these 4 documents are called as shipping documents, which needs to be prepared along with your shipment, whether it is a courier or a cargo mode shipment. Now, again, once you've prepared your shipment, a logistic carrier will pick your product and then ship it. In between, there is something called as a custom clearance process, where India Customs will check, okay, your shipment, your documents, all the documents that you've prepared in export registration phase as well as product documents will be checked by customs. And once they have cleared, then your shipment will successfully fly from India. This module or shipping document module just provides an overview of the process. You can also view what documents are needed. And for certain carriers, you can also download the template of what are the commercial invoice and packing list templates so that you can prepare them. Again, if you need assistance for preparing your shipping documents, you can always click on request assistance, and shipping partners should be able to assist you. Now that you've moved and successfully sent your shipment, what happens next? So you get paid from Amazon basis the disbursement cycle that we have. After you receive payments in India, there are certain mandatory processes you need to do basis RBI guidelines or Reserve Bank of India guidelines. So essentially what those are. So once you get your payment, the first step is that you need to report or submit certain documents to your bank. And what these documents are, essentially shipping bill. So whenever you've sent your shipment, all the shipping level documents, one input document which is called FIRA or FIRC, we will also talk about that. And then once you send all these shipment documents and all the details to your bank, the bank will assist you in closing your entry in EDPMS system. Now, what does this mean? So as per RBI guidelines, you have to declare whatever shipment that you have sent or from your as export. equivalent amount you've received in your bank account. So essentially, if I'm a seller exporting from India to USA and I have shipped $100 worth of products, I need to report all the payments I've received against that export shipment, which is of total $100. Now, this reporting usually happens into an electronic system by banking, which all banks use, which is called EDPMS or Export Data Monitoring System. Here, banks need your help to get all the documents for shipping related, for whatever payment reports that we say, and then they use these inputs to close all the entries in the EDPMS system. After the closure of this entry, they will give you a proof which is called BRC document, which is Bank Realization Certificate, which you can then use to, of course, avail any export benefits or incentives provided by Government of India. Now, as an input document, one such document is FIRC document. FIRC document is nothing but a proof that you have received the amount or payment in your bank account. And whenever you get paid from Amazon, usually you get paid in INR. So say for example, if you're selling from India to USA, a US customer will just pay in USD, but in your account, when it reaches, it's automatically converted into an INR. So FIRC is nothing but a conversion proof that, okay, the $100 shipment is converted at this currency rate into your account. And it's an important input document or proof of payment document that you need to submit to the ED bank account. Now here, this module on Export Navigator will tell you all the details of what is the guideline from RBI, what are the two documents that I just talked about, which is FIRC and BRC, as well as reference links to RBI circular and Amazon payments. Again, if you're stuck in reconciling or preparing these documents, you can always request assistance and reach out to our expert providers. They'll be able to assist you. Moving on now, you've got paid, you've sent your shipment, you've started receiving your payments. What next? So there are tax related requirements that you also need to fulfill. India specific tax requirements, we just spoke. The first one was with respect to LUT and without LUT. If you've gone without LUT, you need to apply for refund for your GST. I will ask Raviji to explain in detail. But just closing on the overview, broadly on tax documentation, there are certain requirements you need to fulfill in India, and then there are certain requirements that you need to fulfill in USA. And this module essentially guides about both. Raviji, I think you can walk more in detail about tax requirements.
Thank you, Ria, for such a wonderful introduction to what things the exporter required. What I'll do is I'll firstly go to some of the parts that I think sellers might need and add on the same. Yeah. Firstly, the payment part, the sellers, you said it very right, but there are some issues that e-commerce sellers specifically face while having the payments. See, sellers, it is not necessary that if you send one shipment, whole of the shipment will get sold at once, because Amazon pays after a 14-day cycle, and till 14 days, only those items that are sold, you get the BRC, you get the FIRA, right? So you have to have a different export channel through, you have to basically do this exercise again, that you have to make the reconciliation. In normal export, what happens is, if you ship $100, you get $100. But in this, you get the payment in bits and parts. So this is the issue where you might have to face. So Ria, you can just shift out to the text documentation, please.
Yeah.
So basically, if I talk about tax requirements, see what happens in e-commerce transaction is, it is a export only from your India warehouse to your Amazon warehouse. So you should treat it as a branch transfer. It is, see what happens is, since the goods are moving out of India to US, it should be called as an export sales. But since the ownership remains with you, you have to treat in books as a stock transfer. But for GST norms, it has to be treated as an export only. So as far as Indian taxes are concerned, you have to follow the GST rules. You have to treat the same as export and record the same in your GST return. The reason is all the duty drawbacks and export incentives, they are linked with your shipment. If you have not recorded this shipment as an export in GST, you might lose on to the export benefits. So as far as tax requirement in India is concerned, you have to record it as an GST return. But when goods are actually sold in US, then you have to record the sales in books. Rest, I'll further elaborate on GST LUT or GST paid. As Dia rightly said, you have two options to do the exports. One is using LUT, one is with payment of GST. LUT is basically a facility given by Indian government that you give an undertaking to Indian government that I am sending these goods without paying any GST on it, right? In case some liability occurs, I'll be liable to pay the GST amount. Since exports में आपको GST नहीं लगेगा, right? So you can send the goods without levying any GST amount. Second one is levying GST on exports. You will say कि if there is no GST on exports using LUT, why would I why would I ship goods with IGST? See, this thing you have to analyze yourself whether you have accumulated input tax credit or not. So for sellers who are having input credits accumulated, they should be following export payment with IGST. The reason is, whenever I have some clients, they want to make a payment to me, they say, sir, don't levy GST. Mara input khada rehta hai, it keeps on accumulating, right? So what we guide sellers is, you send the shipment with IGST so that whatever input GST that has been accumulated gets adjusted. And for your just clarification, if you are shipping goods while paying the GST, you get an automatic refund if the documents have been properly filed by a logistic partner and you have correctly filed the GST returns. This is not the case of that GST refund application that you file separately. That other application may take a lot of time and scrutiny also for refund to get processed. So for those sellers who have their input GST accumulated, we recommend that you pay with a payment of high GST so that your input gets adjusted and your cash flow is not affected. See, whenever input GST gets accumulated, it's your cash flow only that you have to receive from the government and you're not getting that, right? Hope I'm clear. What we'll do is we'll take the queries on this in our Q&A session. Next, Dia, please.
Yeah.
So as far as sales tax requirements in USA is concerned, we are lucky to have Amazon support that for all the taxes, Amazon collects and pays on its own. You need not to take any sales tax registration in US. Neither you have to file the sales tax return in US when you're selling through Amazon. The main hurdle in this was if you're not selling through Amazon and you're selling on your own, right? Setting up an entity over there. See what difference there is in India and US is. In India, suppose you are based in Mumbai, you have to take GST registration in Mumbai only, right? And do all the filings part. But in US, wherever the goods are being sold, in that state you have to take registration. So taking sales tax registration in US is a very cumbersome process. Amazon is providing a very good platform in which all the sales done through them are being taken care by them. You don't have to comply with sales tax requirement in USA when you're selling to Amazon warehouse, Amazon portal, sorry. So I think taxes are complete from here.
Yeah. So moving on, one of the last modules that we have, once you've completed all your recurring processes like payments, tax, last step comes to be as export incentives. So Government of India has issued certain benefits for exporters. This module especially walks you through what those benefits are and how you can avail them. One such example is, say, ROTEP, remission of duties and taxes. Here, basis your product category, you are eligible for rebate of certain local duties, taxes on export goods. These can be VAT for transportation, electricity, so on and so forth. And this module also tells you who all are eligible. So essentially, it's open to both manufacturers and traders for both cargo and courier exports. Here again, you can follow the self-registration steps on how you can avail these benefits, or again, across all modules, you can also click on requesting assistance. Some of these incentives, like road tab, duty drawback, and ROSCTL, are key benefits. ROSCTL is mainly restricted to apparel, but there are a lot many other export schemes and incentives, including advance authorization, TMA, so on and so forth, which bases your shipment profile eligibility. You can start availing and get additional rebates basis your category. Some of the additional enablers, one such one is certificate of origin. It enables you to get benefits of destination countries as well. So for example, if India has a FTA agreement with any destination country where some of the import duties of that country are waived off. That for them to identify if your product has come from India, you have something called a certificate of origin. So this module tells you about additional things that will help you unlock a lot more export incentives and benefits from Indian government. So this process or this step is mentioned as last because once you've set up your products or you started exporting, so export registration and product, figured out your recurring compliances, export incentives module will help you scale. So if you're a new exporter who's just starting out and wish to export their first shipment, the two modules which are very important for you are export registration, the four main licenses, and the product specific documents. So if you're just starting out, start with these two modules, start your prep, identify your product and the requirements needed, and get help from service providers who will help you in getting these documents. You can also follow self-registration steps for some of these if you want to do it, get these licenses yourself. Once you start exporting or start shipping, the modules that will be important for you will be shipping, payments, and tax. So these are all recurring requirements which will happen once you start sending your shipping your goods from India to US. So every time you ship, you need to fulfill shipping documents or prepare shipping documents. After shipping, every time you're paid for those shipments, for those payments, you need to go to your banks. After that, you have to also ensure that you're fulfilling the local India specific tax requirements. For your product categories, US specific tax requirements are made easy by Amazon, but you can read the modules to get more details. And of course, lastly, incentives will help you scale further. So that's about the overview of the Navigator platform. And we can take queries now in the chat here. You can feel free to drop your queries here and we'll be addressing.
So yeah, I'll just want Vishal to cover up on recent compliance issues that seller face. Like some categories require a separate compliance, and why some sellers they do not comply and their shipment gets stuck. So I just want Vishal to give a 2-minute overview on what are the categories that seller needs to be very much careful about. Right? Over to you, Vishal.
So before commencing any shipment to US, you should be particularly knowing about the specific product compliances. For example, you are selling food or edible or dietary supplement, because these are the categories who are selling most in the US. So if you are into those categories, so first of all, you have to be aware about what document you required from Indian compliance perspective, and then you have to move to the fulfill the compliance to the US perspective. So for example, if I am into dietary supplement or into a food dry fruits items, so first of all, I should have a FSI central license. Most of the seller we deal with, they have the state license and they do not upgrade to the central license or exports as a category, and they tends to send their shipment. And then there is a customs of two countries are involved in this. First is Indian customs are involved, and then the customs of US is involved. So the documents get checked at both the stages. So the common compliances which falls which will be required by the every seller is, if you are into food and dietary supplement category, then you have to be necessarily have the FSI central license. And apart from that FSI center, if you are there are certain specific categories, like if you are into dry fruits as well, then a PEDA license is required. If you are selling the tea or coffee, then tea and coffee board license is required. So and these all licenses are export category licenses, because without having those RCMC, you cannot sell your goods. You cannot export basically from India to any country. So once you have these documents, so you should have the destination marketplace like US compliances as well for the given category, like food and dietary supplement. You should be registered with the FDA. Like, and most of the common myths among the seller is that they cannot obtain that certificate by sitting in India. They have to open an entity there. So you can, as a non-resident, get those licenses from Indian documents as well. And we are helping most of the sellers like in obtaining from Indian entities only. Some of the sellers choose to like onboard with they open their entities in the US, and then we can obtain from US entities as well. So if then the same goes with the other product categories. Like if you are claiming to be selling anything which targets the audience or the customer below the age of 12 years, so the CPC certificate get attracted for US. And if you are selling cosmetics, then FDA's MOCRA registration is required. MOCRA stands for Modernization of Cosmetics Regulation Act. So we have to. You can then search in this product document category. Like if Ria ma'am, if you will search like food or men's apparel, first go through the food or any edible item
So
like dietary
let's.
supplement.
So if we
So you
start with supplements.
yeah. So you will get to know like country wise. Like these all are US based. Like you have to need a FDA dietary supplements like certificate. And apart from that, and if you send into any countries, so like your product should be mentioning the details as per their country's guideline. So that service is called like your reviewing your labels, like for the content of the products or the nutritional panel or its ingredients should be mentioned in a specific manner mandated by the country's laws. Like for USA, FDA mandates a certain regulatory requirement, what to be mentioned on a label, how your claim should be, how your pricing should be. So we also guide in that as well. So if you search by the category, you will get the documents in the product documentations as well, and you can go through it. We tried to explain everything on this. Else, if you still unable to understand those requirements, you can reach out to us. Like you can request assistance, and then we will provide you a guidance on how to apply for documents and what documents are required. And that consultancy, we are not charging anything yet. So you will get a free consultation call for the same, like what are the taxes obligations, what are the product obligations. So that's it.
Yeah. So if there's any queries from the group, feel free to add it in the chat. We are now opening the Q&A session. How do we contact you? We will drop the link here as well. You can select on request assistance and PNA is available there on this dashboard. I will just drop the dashboard link here as well for reference. How do we register for GST LUT is the question. Ravi ji, you want to take that one?
Yes, you have to go to your GST logins and you will find a tab like LUT. You have to fill in basic details and you have sign it and you get the LUT. It's a very less than half a job. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, RBI requires entire order value remittance to be done within 9 months. But as you said, we may not be able to sell entire quantity in one go. How do we handle this? Or else IEC will get suspended.
We can take extension from the banks. They might provide 3 months extension, right? And second workout is you may send your next shipment and realize it first. So overall, you have to satisfy the bank that you have received a full payment of what was committed within 9 months.
I think the next question is what are the documents needed to sell supplements or nutritional products? I think, sir, you can always refer this dashboard and search for supplements in the product compliance use case. I think Vishalji also spoke about it. So we can go to the next one. Can we get more details about US FDA?
Yes, so I will take this question. So US FDA stands for Food and Drug Admin, right? So whenever there are four categories involved in FDA. So first is food, dietary supplement, cosmetics, and medical devices. So whenever you want to sell these four categories, so there is no limitation on food and dietary supplement. You can obtain a blanket certificate. After obtaining a single certificate, you can sell as much as SKU you want. But for cosmetic and medical devices, you have to list your product first on the FDA website, and once there your products are added or approved by the FDA, after that you can send the shipments to the UK only. Else your shipment might stuck at the customs because those were not reflecting in the FDA's portal.
The next question is for courier shipments or CSP5 shipments. How do we close entries in bank? Because in EDPMS system, the courier shipments are not visible.
So basically, ma'am, what happening is there are two modes, like we explained in the export document as well. Like there are two modes. One is cargo mode, other is courier shipping mode. So for cargo modes, we get CSB5, that is shipping bill number form 5. Sorry, for courier mode, we get CSB5, that is courier shipping bill 5. So we have come through the knowledge that CSV5 is not reflecting in the ADMS because that is a more of a manual process. But when you send a shipment through cargo mode, so it is already there is a process in line because courier mode is something which were used earlier for the small shipments. But Amazon FBA model has come into place where more of the shipments are flying, and even department was not ready, like they will receive those bulk shipments in form of CSV5. So from time to time they are updating, they are doing it at a batch processing. So earlier it is possible, like for a year ago you might be not able to see the shipping bills in your EDPMS, but you will be seeing in coming months, or if you check now it will be reflecting because they are processing it slowly. So to avoid that situation, what you can do is you can always collect the FIRCs. You can make a physical file and print those FIRCs and collect in your file. Like whenever the shipping bills will reflect in your EDPMS, you can always reach out to the bank that these are the remittances I got from the exports, and then there is always option to make a reconciliation statement, and on the basis of that the bills will be get closed. And in cargo mode, there is a simple logic. Every shipment will be reflected on your EDPMS, and you have to then go to the bank with the reconciliation with the FIRCs that we have received these export remittances.
Thanks, Vishal, for that context. For FIRC, until 2024, this process of getting the FIRC was through AD banks. So AD banks had to request offline the HSBC bank to get the FIRC document, and that's where a lot of fintechs also provided this online. Starting 2025, Amazon has also started providing the FIRCs for HSBC on Seller Central itself. So right now, what you can simply do is go to Seller Central, search for ACCS or Amazon Currency Converter Services, and you should be able to get a link for FIRC or FIRA download. This is for all new disbursements after from 2025 onwards. So you no longer have to reach out for offline coordination with AD banks or HSBC. For India to NA or India to US transactions, this is now being made online on Seller Central Amazon. So this is a new update or recent launch which has happened. We can go to the next question. Can we have a brand name different from company name on bank account and GST?
Yes,
There is
you
an
can.
option of trade. We can feed that a trade name into that, so we can have a different name.
Is there any specific requirements for leather products? Yes, you can search for leather products on the product compliance module and get the required support. Okay, there is one more up from about CSP5. There they say as they're saying I received the AD code approval, but am I required to file for BRC even if the products are sent earlier under CSP5?
So VRC is something you have to take when the shipment reflects in your EDBMS. So till the time your shipments are not getting reflected, You have to not worry about the EBRC. What you can do meanwhile is you can collect those FIRCs and you can make a file of it. Whenever it will reflect, you can always reach out to a bank that I have received the remittance. So BRC is nothing. Whenever we are exporting something, we are claiming, like ma'am explained, we can claim the duty drawbacks. We can send the shipment without GST. So those benefits are government providing on the basis of simple logic that you will be getting forex in India, right? And if you are not getting the forex, then the every motive of providing the incentive is defeated. So that's why FEMA has regulated that the forex should be come within 9 months, or further 3 months extension is provided, but it is subjected to the bank approval.
What if a brand name is India and registered by a company, but in USA it's by different company? Will it be infringement?
It is a really very frequently asked question. See, what happens is, in India, there is a separate register for trademarks. Those who have got registered in India will get protection in India. Those who have got registered in US will get protection in US. Although what Amazon does, on basis of your Indian trademark, Amazon allows us to do the brand registry for US. So you can do the A plus content, you can do the listing, but you don't get protection over there unless until you get a trademark in US.
I think we can proceed with the last question for the session. I know there are a lot of questions on sell on Amazon, but we will be having follow-up webinars specifically of different sections on how do you sell and list on Amazon. The last one is essentially we need to pay the invoice without tax. Should we prepare invoice with tax for US and UAE?
See, as I told earlier, it depends upon you whether you want to levy IGST on your invoice or not. If you have taken LUT, you have both the options. You can sell with LUT, you can sell without LUT. But if you have not taken LUT, you cannot sell without levying GST on it. So levying a GST will be beneficial for you in case you have accumulated GST portion. So that gets settled and you get automatic refund of the GST that has been paid.
I think with this we are at the end of session. So everyone, the link that we used today for the session, I'm just dropping it here in the chat. It's the Export Navigator dashboard, where you can search for all product specific requirements that you need help for. And as I said, for each section, you can request assistance or seek assistance. You can either apply online by following self-registration steps, or wherever you're stuck, you have queries, you need support, you can click request assistance and be connected with service providers like Parshottam and Associates. And as always, thank you so much for joining, and hope this has been useful for all of you. And thank you again, Parshottam and Associates, for helping us conduct this session and address most of your queries. Thanks again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rezi. It was a really pleasant experience for us. Thank you, sellers, for joining. Looking forward to hear from you and resolve almost all your queries. Thank you.